Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library Program. This is Women's History Month, and I traditionally try to do something for that month for obvious reasons. I'm going to do a fairly simple chain that has some specifics in regard to the month. I'm going to be using purple, green, and white beads with some gold accents. Those colors have specific meanings, the green being hope, growth, and new beginnings, and the purple is justice, dignity, and signifies visionary thinking. The white is for equality, and the gold that we kind of weave in is also a beacon of hope. So I'm going to be using those colors. You don't have to use those colors for this particular piece. I'm using 4 millimeter glass pearls and some gold accents. And I'm also going to use an inspirational charm that I'm going to turn into a pendant. So that this is very, you can do, like I said, any beads that you want, you can make it to your own specifications. Find your own charm, find your own dangle bead that you want to use. You can design this any way you would like. The beads you can design any way you'd like. Those of you who get kits are going to get all beads in these colors. You can arrange them any way that you would like. What I'm going to show you is my arrangement, but I hope that you'll use your own individuality to make it your own. So you'll need your usual tools, your round nose pliers. The barrels are completely round all the way around, and they taper slightly smaller towards the tip. And this is the hilt. I call this the hilt. This is the tip. The square nose pliers. I had someone in class ask how you tell the difference, which is a good question because these are slightly rounded. If you look at them, they're slightly rounded on the outside, but if you hold them up to the round ones, there's a very distinct difference. And one of the biggest differences between these square ones that also taper up to the tip is that on the inside, they're completely flat. Now, when you buy these in the store or if you order these, make sure they don't have those little ridges on the inside. The ridges are meant to help you grip something. The problem with that is if you're using wire, particularly soft wire, which is what I usually use, it will put little dents in your wire and really ruin it. And you don't want that. So get the kind that has the flat inside but doesn't have any grooves or ridges as well. Then the last thing that you're going to need is a pair of cutters. These are flush cutters. You can use this kind or just any kind of jewelry cutters is appropriate for this particular piece. We're also going to be using chain. I'm using 3 by 4 millimeter link chain. The links are 3 by 4 millimeter. I'm also using 22 gauge wire. And that is all that we need for our piece. So let's get down here to the mat and get going. Okay, one of the first things you want to do is determine how many links you need for your chain and how many beads you need. What I've done is measure out my beads and my wire that I use to make the links makes this particular link, show you one, approximately 5/8 of an inch from loop to loop. Now, that's going to depend on how big you make your loops. So I can't give you an exact amount. Again, it depends on how large the loops are that you make. And what I would suggest that you do is make one link, measure it, and then go from there. I'm using 6 links of chain for each individual space. And that gives me, for that 6 links, gives me approximately 5/8 of an inch. So determine how many links you want to use, how much chain you want to use in addition to your beads link that you're going to make, and add that all up, and that will determine how long your necklace will be. So I'm going to start with, put that to the side. I'm going to start with my 6 links of chain. So I'm going to count 6 loops and then cut the 7th loop. So what have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Before I cut it, I'm going to count it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just to make sure I didn't make a mistake. When I sewed, it was always measure twice, cut once is always a good motto to have so that you can avoid making mistakes. So I'm going to cut another one. I already have one cut here. So I'm going to cut one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is the 7th one. Double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And snip. Get rid of that one that I cut. Here we go. We can go back there. And so here are my links, lengths, Length, of chain. So now I'm going to put those to the side, and I'm going to make my first link. So these are the colors that I'm using. My purple, my white, my green, and my gold accent. So I'm going to start there. So the first thing I'm going to do is my gold one. Yeah, no, let's go ahead and do the purple one. So I am going with 2 beads for every link that I made. So I'm going to start with the 2 beads. And what I suggest that you do, again, depending on the size beads that you use, and you can use any size beads that you like, measure your beads, see how much space they take up on the in length, and then add 2 inches of wire so that you'll have enough to make your loops. I have this little piece here, and I think that's enough, but let me check. It's about 1, 2¼ inches. I'm going to make that work. So I would give myself, this is approximately 1/2 inch. Then I need 2 more inches, 1 on each side for my loops. So that's 2½ inches. This is a little less than that, but I think I can make it work. And that means I will have less waste at the end. You're going to have a little waste. It's just inevitable. So don't worry too much about that. But the way to avoid too much waste is to leave your wire intact. Then that way you don't have to cut off both ends. You just cut off one end and you'll waste less wire. So let's go. All right, so what I'm going to do is go down here about 1 inch from the end, and I'm just all eyeballing it, put a bend in my wire. So now I have one wire that's out to the side and the other wire is going straight down. So I have like an upside down L. So I'm going to grab my round nose pliers and I'm going to slide my pliers, my wire about 1/4 of the way down my pliers because I want my loop to be about the same size as the loops in my chain, or as close as I can get. So I don't need a huge loop. So I'm going to bring, I always get a frog in my throat when I'm doing these tutorials. I do not know why. Okay, I'm going to bring that short tail of wire up and over and across my pliers and down the side. Sorry about that. Then I'm going to hold on to my wire, open up my pliers, reposition them out of my way, and bring that wire under my pliers in order to make a nice little loop. There's my loop. And now I'm ready to wrap it, but before I do, I need to attach it to a piece of chain. Do I want to attach it on this side? Yes, I do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and attach that to my chain. I'm sliding that down that short tail. Then I'm going to open that up a little bit so that that flops right down inside my open loop. Then I'm going to grab my round nose pliers and wrap that wire, short tail of wire, around the long tail. Okay, I only need a couple of wraps, at least one full wrap. If you want to do more than two, be my guest. It's entirely up to you, but I left myself a very short tail of wire because I'm using this little extra piece, so I can't do too much extra. So now this little tiny tip, I'm going to wrap the rest of the way around. And push the little end down against my wire. Get down there. Such a tiny tip. And when it's this tiny and you have difficulty pushing it down, best thing to do is cut it off. I have 1.5 wraps. That's enough. No point in struggling with that little tip. Make sure nothing's in the way. The only thing I want to cut is this little tip. And this is very short, so I can't really hold on to it. So what I'm going to do is turn it down into this little tube here. Cut that off, let that drop down in there and out the bottom. Boom. Nice, neat little trick. Then I'm going to push this little sticky tip down against my wire. There we go. A little bit more. There. Now I'm going to grab my beads and put them on. These are so cute, these little 4mm pearls. And I'm putting 2 of them on each of my little wings. See, I have a lot more left on the other side. I was being stingy on that first side. I have more wire on this side to work with, so that's good. Let's see what's going on down here. Push that down. I'm going to bend this over to the side, just like I did the first time. Grab my round nose pliers, slide my wire down about 1/4 of the way down my pliers, bring that tail over the top, down the side until it hits my beads, move my pliers out of my way, and then bring that wire under my pliers until I have a nice little loop. Let's check it out, make sure it looks good. I have a little bit of a neck here, just a little bit. I'm going to roll my loop down just to get rid of that neck. Then I'm going to grab my square pliers, and I'm not going to do anything wide because I need to attach it to my other piece of chain. I almost made a boo-boo. Okay, so I'm going to grab another piece of my chain, slide it down my little tail of wire, and inside the loop, boom. Grab my pliers, hold on to the face. I call the flat part of my loop, the face. And I'm going to wrap that tail between the pliers and bead. I did it 1.5 times on the other side, so I'll do the same on this side, even though I have more wire. And if you want to keep wrapping, go for it. Okay, let's cut off that little tail. And when you use these flush cutters, make sure that the flat side is against your bead. That way you get a closer cut. If I turned it this way and cut, I would end up with a lot of wire left that I didn't want. But if you turn the flat side to it, you get a closer cut. Okay, this is close enough or big enough for me to hold on to, so I didn't have to use my little well. And let's push that end down. Now I'm using square pliers. I'm using these little glass pearls that are dyed, so you might want to be careful when you're doing this, not to be too heavy-handed with these pliers and scratch the dye off of your pearls, those of you who get kits. Okay, there we go. There's my one point. Let's move on to the next one. The next one I'm going to make out of the white. And now I'm going to use my whole little spool of wire. I'm not going to cut it. Give myself my little inch, bend it back, slide my wire 1/4 of the way down my pliers. Okay, you move over there. Out of my way so I'm not throwing you around the way. Okay, wire 1/4 of the way down my pliers. Bring that short tail of wire over the top and down the side of my pliers until it won't go any further, because I don't want it to go past my wire at this point. Then I'm going to hold on to my pliers, my wire, open and turn my pliers and bring that tail under my pliers and across like so until I have a loop. Then I'm going to attach it to my chain. Slide that chain down inside that open loop. Yay. Nice. Grab my pliers, hold on to the face of my wire and wrap that loop closed. Wrap that around there a couple of times. I have more wire. So, oh, and this is very organic. So these, you don't have to make the wraps exact each time. The ones that I already did, I wrapped around there twice. I was so stingy on the last one, I didn't wrap around twice, but I'm going to continue my 2 wraps because I like the way it looks. Okay, cut that off. Get off of there. And use my flat pliers to push that little tip down. Good. And now I'm ready to cut, because I can't put my beads on this side. I have to put them on this side. And I know I need about, this is sticking up a little bit. I need about 1.5 inches of wire. So let me go ahead. You can measure that. You can eyeball it. It's entirely up to you. Get my 1.5 inches. Snip that off. Grab my beads. Slide them on my wire. And let's make the second loop. Bend it over to the side. Grab my pliers, slide my wire about 1/4 of the way down my pliers, like all of my other loops. Bring that wire over the top and down the side. hold on to my beads and my wire, open my pliers up, reposition them to the side, and bring my wire under my beads, under my pliers, and over the top of my bead until I have a loop. Grab my next piece of chain, slide that on that last link, open up my open loop, slide that inside the loop, grab my pliers, and hold on to the face of my loop, and wrap. Nice and tight. Okay, give my 2 wraps around and snip that off. And again, using the back of my pliers, and don't scrape those curls, those of you who get these, because these little curl-esque glass beads. And where's my little tip? There it is. Push that down. Nice and snug. Here we go. Okay, so I think you get the gist of how this works. I'm going to go ahead and put these others on. 2 of my green ones. I have one kind of elongated little brassy gold one. I'm going to go ahead and put those on off camera, then I'll show you how to put it all together. Be right back. Okay, before I do the rest of this, I wanted to show you a little trick. If you put your beads on before you make that first loop, you don't have to cut it before you're ready to wrap the other side. That's all. I'll actually show you that. So I've got my beads on. I'm going to bend my wire back at my little inch mark. Make my little loop just like I've done all along. Add my chain. Yeah. And wrap my loop closed. Okay, cut that little tail off. Push down that little end. Come on, little tip. Get it down there. There you go. And now my beads are on here, so I can just slide them up. Now I don't have to guess as much. I'm going to go ahead and give myself my inch. Spin that back. And now I can cut. All ready to go. Not as much guesswork. All right. Just wanted to give you that little tip. May as well finish it. Okay. I have to cut another little piece of chain. Do that. I'm going to do the rest of this off camera, since I think you get the message. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cut the 7th. Okay. And my chain. There we go. Now I'll wrap that up and I will do my last one, which is this little gold bead, and I will be back. Okay, here is my chain. So what I'm going to do now, I have this, I should have brought the whole box down, this nice little inspirational charm that I'm going to make into a pendant. And it says, find joy in the journey. Can you see that? See if I can get it up here too, where it's legible. There we go. Find joy in the journey. And I'm going to make that into a little pendant to put on my chain. Again, my chain is very, very simple. I wanted something that had the colors and would spotlight our little charm that we're using here. So what I'm going to do is take about 5 inches of wire, probably too much. That's okay. I'll just cut off what little I have left. Give myself a good 5 inches. I'm going to make a loop so that I can attach it to my charm. So I'm going to bend my wire back about an inch. Actually, I'm going to give myself about what do I have here? Oh, I don't even have an inch. I'm going to give myself about an inch and a quarter because my loop has to be big enough to go through this, not only go through this, but accommodate the girth of my charm. So you're better off having a little too much than too little. So I'm going to go back about an inch and a quarter. I think I have here, maybe an inch and an eighth. And I'm going to slide my wire down a little further down my pliers so I have enough space to go through the drill point and around the top of my charm. So I'm going to go down about a third of the way down my pliers instead of a quarter. I'm going to bring my the short tail of wire over the top of my pliers and down the side. That is my little clock telling me to get a move on. Almost finished. Okay. Hold on to my wire, open my pliers up and reposition them out of my way so that I can bring that short tail under my pliers to make a little loop. Now I'm going to put my charm on. So I open that up a little bit so I have some space. Slide my charm on and down inside my loop. And let's wrap it up. Now, normally I don't use round pliers, my round nose pliers to hold onto my loop, because if you hold too tight and you have too small, if this little small tip, it can put little dents in your wire. But because this is such a small space, I'm going to go back to the largest part of my pliers that I can fit and use that to hold on to my loop. Just don't grip too tight because you don't want to put any little indentations in your wire. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. Give myself 2 good wraps. I think I gave myself 2.5. Let's take that last one off. And let's cut that tail off. Again, I have enough to hold on to, so I will. Now, watch your tip. You don't want to accidentally have your tip pointing towards your loop and accidentally cut your loop. I have done that. It's very painful because then you have to start all over. Let's try not to do that, shall we? Okay, and let's push that little end down. And I'm going to grab one of these little brassy gold beads, get that out of the way, just to give my little charm a little contrast. So I'm going to slide that on my wire, like so. And now I'm going to make the little bail that goes on top. So I'm going to bend my wire back. Nice little expanse of wire I've got here. And I will show you why. So I'm going to go all the way to the back of my pliers. The reason I'm doing that is because if I make this, make the bail big enough, I can change it out. I can put it on, and since I'm closing this up, I can put this on, I can take this one off, I can put another one on if I want to. It's entirely up to you, but I have to have a really nice size bail, which is the loop, another word for the loop, in order to do that. So I'm going to go back here to the back of my pliers, make sure you avoid this squared off part because you don't want a square bail. Bring that over the top, down the side. See, now I have a nice big loop. Okay, underneath. And I'm going to give myself another wrap. So I'm going to wrap that around again. Let's get rid of some of that little neck. So I'm going to roll that down so that my loop is closer to my bead. Then I'm going to here's where my pliers were. I'm going to take them out and slide one of the arms into the loop and the other one under my wire, that strand of wire that's sticking out. And I'm going to wrap that over the top and down the side. Open up my pliers, reposition them, clamp back down, and wrap. Now, I want to make sure that both of these loops are the same size. And because this gets gradually smaller, I need to check. So I'm going to turn that around the other way, put it back in, and check the size. Make sure both of them are as close to the same size as possible. Okay, so there's my double loop. And now I'm going to wrap it closed. Now what I want to do is go down here as close to the bottom where the tail is sticking out as possible to hold this, because if I try to do it up here, this is going to pull my loop closed. So I want to be down here near the bottom. Get that out of the way so you can see. And I want to wrap this closed. I'm not going to be able to go too far because my pliers are in the way, but I want to get it started. You can also hold on to it with your fingers. If you do, try not to squeeze these together because you don't want this wire to cross over the other wire. But if you're very careful, you can hold on to it with your fingers and wrap. You don't want to use the pliers to hold on to it because you don't have as much control and you'll probably end up crossing your wires over. So let's wrap that around. Give that a couple of wraps until you have it the way you want it. And then let's cut it off. Snip that tail off. Push that little end down. Come on, little tip, get down there. There we go. And here's my little bail and my focal piece. Yay. So what I'm going to do now is put it on my chain. And see, I made that big enough so it will slide over my beads. In fact, it'll slide over your jump ring if you don't use too big a jump ring. Slide that down to the center. Just like that. And now I like to give a little rabbit ear. Go ahead and straighten that out. So I like to give my little pendant veil a little rabbit ear look. So I just spread them out just a little bit. Just open it up just a tiny bit. Just like that. So it looks like a proper veil. Here it is. Last but not least, you need to put on our clasp. And I am going to be nice to everybody, and we're going to use a lobster clasp and jump rings. Making it simple. I put them on here so they would be easy to find. So the best way to open and close your jump rings is to twist. You don't want to separate the ends. You want to just twist it open like so. Add it to your chain. Now determine which way you fasten. If you're right-handed and you use your right hand is dominant, you want to make sure that the lobster clasp is on the right side so that you can fasten it easily. Slide on my jump ring on that last length of chain. Slide my lobster clasp on next and close it up. There we go. Go to the other side, slide my jump ring on that last link on the other side, and close it up. And make sure that those little ends are together. And there's my necklace with my charm pendant. Find the joy in the journey. That's really, that is really, really good for what we're doing. Our journey was to finish this piece. Find the joy in the journey. I think I did. Let's try that on our little thing here. Let's see what it looks like. And this comes out to about, I think mine's coming out to about 20 inches. Oh, that's cute. There we go. Here it is. Ugh, isn't that pretty? It's just so nice. This is going to be perfect for spring and summer. Not too heavy, just very nice. Get up there in the center of the display, please. Here it is. This is lopsided. There we go. There is our piece for the day. This you can whip up in practically no time. Isn't that neat? I love it. Okay, so that is our piece for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. Actually, mine came out to 18 inches, which is a standard length that I like. And it's so perfect for spring and summer. It's not too long. And this is such a delicate little chain. You don't want it, well, I don't want it way down here because you lose the effect of the pendant. So here's my little piece. I like it a lot. I love the colors. I put it on because I said, oh, it matches what I'm wearing almost. It's got all the colors. So anyway, this is for, again, little alarm saying, shut up and get on with it. But this is for National Women's History Month. Again, you don't have to use these colors. It's entirely up to you. You don't even have to use these shapes or these sizes. But this is what we did, and I hope that you really like this. If you did, please let me know. If you didn't, please let me know and let me know why. I strive to get this as right and as good as I possibly can. Cameras don't always work so well for me. I've got my little nice little new camera here, and using my laptop to record. Sometimes it says you don't have enough speed, or at least that's what they told me when I called them. And I said, why is the sound not coinciding with the video? I've heard all kinds of reasons. Anyway, I hope the sound is good. I hope the video is good, and I hope the tutorial was good for you. Please let me know one way or the other. I'd love to hear from you. Please let me see what you make. I'd really love to see that as well. So you can send me comments to my email. And those of you who have sent me constructive criticisms, thank you. I really appreciate it. I want to know if you have to turn it up really high decimals in order to hear decibels, I guess, in order to hear. I don't know what to do about that. Um, but hopefully this is loud enough so that you can hear it. I've got it up to full volume, and I don't know what to do other than that. So I hope that you can hear it. That's the first time I got that comment. I know that I was having a little audio problems. It sounded like I was in a cave, and I'm in my living room. I tried to do this in little my little studio space, but the lighting was all off. So I'm back to the living room again, and it's huge open space. So it was sounding like I was in a cave. I think I've remedied that. So I hope there aren't any echoes, and I hope that it doesn't sound really weird. Anyway, all of that chatter to say, please let me know what you thought one way or the other. You can get in touch with me at jewelrygen20@gmail.com. That's JEWELRYGIN20@gmail.com. You can send comments and leave comments and pictures on the DeKalb County Library Facebook page. That's facebook.com/DeKalb Library. That's DeKalb You can also leave comments at the DeKalb County Library YouTube page, which is youtube.com/DeKalb Library. I hope to hear from you. And until next time, I hope you have a great week and an even better weekend. I'm going to have fun this weekend. Getting down to see the girls. We're going to go out for some coffee. We might even go to high tea. I'll let you know. Anyway, until next time, have a great week and a great weekend, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.